Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svaparantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Saganaragunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalalita Sri Visakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna Prabhus, welcome to the reading session. Today we continue the journey of self-discovery. And the chapter is 2.3, The Unseen Controller. Even the most complicated computers need trained men to handle them. Similarly, we should know that this great machine, which is known as the cosmic manifestation, is manipulated by a supreme spirit, that is Krishna. In an excerpt from his book, Krishna Consciousness, The Matchless Gift, Srila Prabhupada offers intriguing insights into how God creates and controls the universe. The purpose of this Hare Krishna movement is to bring man back to his original consciousness, which is Krishna consciousness, clear consciousness. When water falls from the clouds, it is uncontaminated, like distilled water, but as soon as it touches the ground, it becomes muddy and discolored. Similarly, we are originally pure spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna, and therefore our original constitutional position is as pure as God's. In Bhagavad Gita 5:7, Krishna 15:7, Krishna says, Mama vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manashasta nindriyani prakritistani karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. Thus, all living entities are part and parcel of Krishna. It should always be remembered that when we speak of Krishna, we are speaking of God, because the name Krishna denotes the all-attractive personality of Godhead. As a fragment of gold is qualitatively the same as gold reservoir, so the minute particles of Krishna's body are therefore qualitatively as good as Krishna. The chemical composition of God's body and the eternal spiritual body of the living entities is the same, spiritual. Thus, originally, in our uncontaminated condition, we possessed a form as good as God's. But just as rain falls to the ground, so we come in contact with this material world, which is manipulated by the external energy or material nature. When we speak of external energy or material nature, the question may be raised: whose energy, whose nature? Material energy or nature is not active independently. Okay, Hare Krishna. Who wants to read the next page?
I can read the next page. Such a concept is foolish In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that material nature does not work independently. When a foolish man sees a machine, he may think that it is working automatically, but actually it is not. There is a driver, someone in control, although we sometimes cannot see the controller behind the machine due to our defective vision. There are many electronic mechanisms which work very wonderfully, but behind these intricate systems is a scientist who pushes the button. This is very simple to understand since a machine is matter. It cannot work on its own accord, but must work under spiritual direction. A tape recorder works, but it works according to the plans and under the direction of a living entity, a human being. The machine is complete, but unless it is manipulated by a spirit soul, it cannot work. Similarly, we should understand that this cosmic manifestation, which we call nature, is a great machine, and that behind this machine there is God, Krishna. This is also affirmed in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyatesa Characharam Hetunanena Kaunteya Jagat Viparivartate. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction. O son of Kunti, producing all the moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and I annihilate it again and again. I'm sorry about the background noise. I'm gonna read this one and then someone else can continue. So Krishna says that material nature is acting under his direction. Thus, behind everything, there is a supreme controller. Modern civilization does not understand this due to lack of knowledge. It is the purpose of this society for Krishna consciousness, therefore to enlighten all people. Oh, okay. I was just, okay. Therefore, to enlighten all people who have been maddened by the influence of the three modes of material nature. In other words, our aim is to awaken mankind to its normal condition. There are many universities, especially in the United States, and many departments of knowledge, but they are not discussing these points. Where is the department for this knowledge that we find given by Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita? Do I continue or do we read like a page per person?
You can read another one, Prabhu.
When I spoke before some students and faculty members at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the first question I raised was, where is the technological department which is investigating the difference between a dead man and a living man? Okay, I need to find a better place next time. Now I know this is a very bad place. When a man dies, something is lost. Where's the technology to replace it? Why don't scientists try to solve this problem? Because this is a very difficult subject matter. They set it aside and busily engage in the technology of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. However, the Vedic literatures inform us that this is animal technology. Animals are also trying their best to eat well, to have an enjoyable sex life, to sleep peacefully, and to defend themselves. What then is the difference between man's knowledge and the animal's knowledge? The fact is that man's knowledge should be developed to explore that difference between a living body and a dead body. That spiritual knowledge was imparted by Krishna to Arjuna in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. Being a friend of Krishna's, Arjuna was a very intelligent man, but his knowledge, as all men's, was limited. Krishna spoke, however, of subject matters which were beyond Arjuna's finite knowledge. These subjects are called adokshaya, because our direct perception by which we acquire material knowledge fails to approach them. For example, we have many powerful microscopes to see what we cannot see with our limited vision, but there is no microscope that can show us the soul within the body. Nevertheless, the soul is there. The Bhagavad Gita informs us that in this body there is a proprietor, the spirit soul. I am the proprietor of my body, and other souls are the proprietors of their bodies. I say my hand, but not I hand. Since it is my hand, I am different from the hand being its owner. Similarly, we speak of my eye, my leg, my this, my that. In the midst of all these objects which belong to me, where am I? The search for the answer to this question is the process of meditation. In real meditation, we ask, where am I? What am I? We cannot find the answers to these questions by any material effort. And because of this, all the universities are setting these questions aside. They say it is too difficult a subject, or they brush it aside. It is irrelevant. Thus, engineers direct their attention to creating and attempting to perfect the horseless carriage and the wingless bird. Formerly, horses were drawing carriages and there was no air pollution. But now there are cars and airplanes, and the scientists are very proud. Harry Ball, does anyone else want to continue? Okay, I know that I need to find a better place next time.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I continue?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
We have invented horseless carriages and wingless birds. They boast. Although they invent imitation wings for the airplane, they cannot invent a soulless body. When they are able to do this, they will deserve credit. But such an attempt would necessarily be frustrated, for we know that there is no machine that can work without a spirit soul behind it. Even the most complicated computers need trained men to handle them. Similarly, we should know that this great machine known as the cosmic manifestation is manipulated by a supreme spirit, that is Krishna. Scientists are searching for the ultimate cause or the ultimate controller of this material universe and are postulating different theories and proposals. But the real meanings for knowledge is very easy and perfect. We need only hear from the perfect person, Krishna. By accepting the knowledge imparted in Bhagavad Gita, anyone can immediately know that this great cosmic machine of which the earth is a part is working so wonderfully because there is a driver behind it, Krishna. Our process of knowledge is very easy. Krishna's instruction, Bhagavad Gita, is the principal book of knowledge given by the Adi Purusha himself, the supreme primeval person, the supreme personality of Godhead, is indeed the perfect person. It may be argued that although we may accept him as a perfect person, there are many others who do not. But one should not think that this acceptance is whimsical, is accepted as the perfect person on the evidence of many authorities. We do not accept Krishna as perfect simply on the basis of our whims or sentiments. No, Krishna is accepted as God by many Vedic authorities like Vyasadeva, the author of all Vedic literatures. The treasure house of knowledge is contained in the Vedas, and their author Vyasadeva accepts Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead, and Vyasadeva's spiritual master Narada also accepts Krishna as such. Narada's spiritual master Brahma accepts Krishna not only as the supreme person but the supreme controller as well. Ishvaraha Parama Krishna. The supreme controller is Krishna. There is no one in the creation who can claim that he is not controlled. Everyone, regardless of how important or powerful, as a controller over his head. Krishna, however, has no controller, therefore he is God, the controller of everyone. But there is no one superior to him, no one to control him, nor there anyone equal to him, no one to share his platform of absolute control. This may sound very strange, for there are many so called gods nowadays. Indeed, gods have become very cheap, being especially imported from India. People in other countries are fortunate that gods are not manufactured there, but in India, gods are manufactured practically every day. We often hear that God is coming to Los Angeles or New York, that people are gathering to receive Him, etc. But Krishna is not the type of God who is created in a mystic factory. No, He was not made God, He is God. We should know then on the basis of authority that behind this gigantic material nature, the cosmic manifestation, there is God Krishna, and that is accepted by all Vedic authorities. Acceptance of authority is not new for us. Everyone accepts authority in some form or another. For education, we go to a teacher or a school or simply learn from our father and mother. They are all authorities, and our nature is to learn from them. In our childhood, we asked, "Father, what is this?" And father would say, "This is a pen. These are spectacles, or this is a table." In this way, from the very beginning of life, a child learns from his father and mother. A good father and mother never cheat when their son inquires from them. They give exact and correct information. Similarly, if we get spiritual information from an authority, if the authority is not a cheater, then our knowledge is perfect. However, if we attempt to read conclusions by dint of our speculative powers subject to fall into error. The process of induction by which one reasons from particular facts or individual cases and arrive at general conclusion is never a perfect process. Because we are limited and our experience is limited, the inductive process of acquiring knowledge will always remain imperfect. But if we receive information from the perfect source, Krishna, and if we repeat that information, then what we are speaking can also be accepted as perfect and authoritative. This process of parampara or disciplic succession means hearing from Krishna or from authorities who have accepted Krishna and repeating exactly what they have said. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna recommends this process of knowledge. Evam parampara praptam imam raja rasyo viduhu. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplinic succession, and the saintly kings understood in that way. Bhagavad Gita 4.2. Formerly, knowledge was passed down by great saintly kings who were authorities. In previous ages, however, these kings were rishis, great lands, scholars, and devotees, and because they are not ordinary men, the government which they did worked very nicely. There are many instances in Vedic civilization of kings who attained perfection as devotees of God. For example, Dhruva Maharaj went to the forest to search out God, and by practice of several penances and austerity, he found God within 6 months. Anyone else want to take? Any others want to read now?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu, thank you for reading. The Krishna consciousness process is also based on austerity, but it is not very difficult. There are restrictions governing eating and sex life. Only prasadam, food first offered to Krishna, is taken, and sex is restricted to married life. And there are other regulations which facilitate and foster spiritual realization. It is not possible in these days to imitate Dhruva Maharaj, but by following certain basic Vedic principles, we can make advancement in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. As we advance, we become perfect in knowledge. What is the use of becoming a scientist or a philosopher if we cannot say what our next life will be? A realized student of Krishna consciousness can very easily say that what his next life is, what God is, and what the living entity is, and what his relationship with God is. His knowledge is perfect because it is coming from perfect books of knowledge, such as the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. This then is the process of Krishna consciousness. It is very easy and anyone can adopt it and make his life perfect. If someone says, I'm not educated at all and I cannot read books, he is still not disqualified. He can still perfect his life simply by chanting the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna has given us a tongue and 2 ears, and we may be surprised to know that Krishna is realized through the ears and tongue, not through the eyes. By hearing his message, we learn to control the tongue, and after the tongue is controlled, the other senses follow. Of all the senses, the tongue is the most voracious and difficult to control, but it can be controlled simply by chanting Hare Krishna and tasting Krishna Prasadam, food offered to Krishna. We cannot understand Krishna by sensual perception or speculation. It is not possible, for Krishna is so great that he is beyond our sensual range. But he can be understood by surrender. Krishna therefore recommends this process. Sarva dharmam parityagya mam ekam sharanam raja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshaishyami ma suchaha. Give up all varieties of religiousness and just surrender unto me. And in return, I shall protect you from all sinful reactions. Therefore, you have nothing to fear. Unfortunately, our disease is that we are rebellious. We automatically resist authority. Yet, although we say that we don't want authority, nature is so strong that it forces authority upon us. We are forced to accept the authority of nature. What can be more pathetic than a man who claims to answer to no authority, but who follows his senses blindly, wherever they lead him, or false claim to be to independence is simply foolishness. We are all under authority, yet we say that we don't want authority. This is called Maya, illusion. We do, however, have a certain independence. We can choose to be under the authority of our senses or the authority of Krishna. The best and ultimate authority is Krishna, for he is our eternal well-wisher, and he always speaks for our benefit. Since we have to accept some authority, why not accept his? Simply by hearing of his glories from the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and by chanting his names, Hare Krishna, we can swiftly perfect our lives. Haribol. Okay, one more. 2.4. Who is Krishna? August 1973, at Bhaktivedanta Manor in the countryside near London. Several thousand guests, including the Indian High Commissioner, listened to Srila Prabhupada speak about the confidential identity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is revealed in India's timeless Vedic scriptures to be not an old man with a long white beard, but a sublimely attractive and eternal yacht. Your Excellency, the High Commissioner, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much for your coming here and participating in this ceremony, Janmashtami, the advent of Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. At the advent of Lord Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Krishna says, Shanma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tatvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti sorjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. It is a fact that we cannot stop our repeated births and deaths and achieve the state of immortality, but the modern civilization, or great philosophers, great politicians, and great scientists, they have no idea that it is possible to attain the stage of Amritatvam, immortality. We are all Amrita, deathless, immortal. In the Bhagavad Gita 2.20, it is said, Na jayate mriyate va kadachit. We, living entities, we never die and never take birth. Ajo nitya sasvato yam purano na hanyate hanya mane sharire. Every one of us, we are primeval and eternal, without beginning and without end. And after the annihilation of this body, we do not die, but when the body is finished, we will have to accept another body. Dehi nosmin yata dehe komaram jovanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuhyati. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Bhagavad Gita 2.13. At the present moment, all over the world, people are lacking knowledge of this simple thing, that all of us living entities are part and parcel of Lord Krishna. That like Krishna, we are eternal, we are blissful, and we are cognizant. Krishna is described in the Vedic literatures. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all, but he has no origin. For he is the prime cause of all causes. Brahma Samhita 5.1. When I say Krishna, that means God. It is sometimes said God has no name. That is a fact. But God's name is given by his activities. For instance, Krishna accepted sonship to Maharaj Nanda and Yashodamai, and also to Vasudeva and Devaki. Of course, no one is actually the father or mother of Krishna, because Krishna is the original father of everyone. But when Krishna comes here, when he makes his advent, he accepts certain exalted devotees as his father and his mother. Still, Krishna is Adi Purusham, the original person. Then must Krishna be very old? No. Nava Jauvanam Cha. Always a fresh youth. That is Krishna. When Krishna was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he was just like a boy of 20 years or at most 25 years old. But at that time, he had great-grandchildren. So Krishna is always a yacht. These are the statements of the Vedic literatures. But if we simply read the Vedic literatures as a formality, it will be very difficult to understand what Krishna is. Although all the Vedas are meant for understanding Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Krishna says, Vedaisha sarvaid aham eva vedya. By all the Vedas, it is I who am to be known. What is the use of studying the Vedas if you do not understand Krishna? The ultimate goal of education is to understand the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Father, the Supreme Cause. As it is said in the Vedanta Sutra, Atato Brahma Jignasa. Now, in the human form of life, it is the time to discuss the Supreme Absolute Truth, Brahman. And what is this Brahman? Janma Jasya Jata. Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Brahman is the one from whom everything emanates. So science and philosophy mean finding out the ultimate cause of everything. And this we are getting from the Vedic literature. That Krishna is Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. Just try to understand. For instance, I am caused by my father. My father is caused by his father. He is caused by his father, who is caused by his father. In this way, if you go on searching, then you'll ultimately come to someone who is the cause that has no cause. Anadir Adir Govinda. That cause has no cause. That cause that has no cause is Govinda, Krishna. I may be the cause of my son, but at the same time, I am the result of another cause, my father. But the Vedic literature says that Krishna is the original person. He has no cause, that is Krishna. Therefore, Krishna says, just try to learn about the transcendental nature of my advent and activities. The advent of Krishna, it is a very important thing. We should try to understand Krishna, why he makes his advent, why he comes down to this material world, what his business is, what his activities are. If we simply try to understand Krishna, then what will be the result? The result will be Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam seti so Arjuna. We will get immortality. The aim of life is amritatvaya kalpate, to achieve immortality. So today, on the advent of Krishna, we shall try to understand the philosophy of Krishna. His Excellency was speaking of peace. The peace formula is there in the Bhagavad Gita spoken by Krishna. What is that? Bhoktaram yagnatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram shuhridam sarva bhutanam jnanatva mam shantim rachati. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate benefactor of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Bhagavad Gita 5:29. The politicians and diplomats are trying to establish peace in the world. We have the United Nations and many other organizations. They are working to establish real peace and tranquility, to eliminate misunderstanding between man and nation and nation. But that is not happening. Yeah, Prabhupada knew it. That is not happening. Now they are bombing, everyone is bombing each other. The defect is that the root is wrong. Everyone is thinking, it is my country, it is my family, it is my society, it is my property. This my is illusion. In the Vedic literature, it is said, Janasya moho jam aham mameti. Bhagavatam 5:5-8. This I and my philosophy is Maya, illusion. So if you want to get out of this Maya, this illusion, then you have to accept Krishna's formula. Mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. Bhagavad Gita 7:14. Whoever surrenders to Krishna can easily cross beyond all illusion. Everything is there in the Bhagavad Gita for our guidance. If we accept the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, everything is there. Peace is there, prosperity is there. Unfortunately, we do not accept it, or we misinterpret it. This is our misfortune. In the Bhagavad Gita 9:34, Krishna says, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyayi mam namashkuru. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer obeisances unto me. It is a very difficult task. Is it a very difficult task? Here is Krishna's deity. If you think of this deity, is it very difficult? You come into the temple, and just as a devotee would do, you offer your respect to the deity. As far as possible, try to worship the deity. Krishna does not want your property. Krishna is open to the poorest man for being worshipped. What is he asking? He says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati. With devotion, if a person offers me a little leaf, a little fruit, a little water, I accept it. Bhagavad Gita 9:26. Krishna is not hungry, but Krishna wants to make you a devotee. That is the main point. Yo me bhaktya prayachati. Offer something to me with devotion. That is the main principle. Offer Krishna some little thing. Krishna is not hungry. Krishna is providing food for everyone, but Krishna wants your love, your devotion. Therefore, he is begging a little water or fruit or a flower. In this way, man manam bhava mad bhakta, you can think of Krishna and become his devotee. There is no difficulty in understanding Krishna and accepting Krishna consciousness, but we'll not do it. That is our disease. Otherwise, it is not difficult at all. And as soon as we become a devotee of Krishna, we understand that the whole universal situation. Hare Krishna. Okay, please accept my humble obeisance. Who wants to read the... Oh, there is still many pages. Okay, who wants to read next 2 pages?
I can read
Garibo.
if it's okay. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Our Bhagavata philosophy, our God conscious philosophy, is also a kind of spiritual communism, because we regard Krishna as the Supreme Father and all living entities as sons of Krishna. And Krishna says, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He is the proprietor of all planets. Therefore, whatever there is, either in the sky or in the water or on the land, it is all Krishna's property. And because we are all sons of Krishna, every one of us has the right to use our father's property, but we should not encroach upon others. This is the formula for peace. Ishavasyam idam sarvam ma krita kasya svittanam. Everything belongs to God, and since you are sons of God, you have the right to use your father's property, but do not take more than you need. This is punishable. Isopanishat 1. If anyone takes more than he needs, then he's a thief. Yakyartat karmano nyatra loko yam karma pandanaha. Bhagavad Gita 3.9. Whatever we do, we should do it for the satisfaction of Krishna. We should act for Krishna. We should do everything for Krishna. That is what we are teaching here. In this temple, we are all residing happily. Americans, Indians, Englishmen, Canadians, Africans, people from all different parts of the world. You know that. It is like that. It is like that not only in this temple, but wherever people are Krishna conscious throughout the world. Krishna makes his advent to teach this lesson. When we forget this philosophy that Krishna is the Supreme Father, Krishna is the Supreme Proprietor, Krishna is the Supreme Enjoyer, and Krishna is the Supreme Friend of everyone, when we forget this, then we come into this material world and struggle for existence, fight with one another. This is material life. Nor can we get any relief through our politicians, diplomats, philosophers. They have tried so much, but actually nothing they have tried has become fruitful. Take the United Nations. It was organized after the Second Great War, and they wanted, we shall now settle everything peacefully. But there is no such thing. The fighting is going on between Pakistan and India, or between Vietnam and America, or this and that. Mundane politics and diplomacy and philosophy. This is not the process. The process is Krishna consciousness. Everyone has to understand this point that we are not proprietors. The actual proprietor is Krishna. That's a fact. Take America, for example. Say 200 years ago, the European immigrants were not the proprietors. Somebody else was the proprietor, and before that, somebody else was the proprietor, or it was vacant land. But the actual proprietor is Krishna. Artificially, we are claiming it is my property. This is called Maya, illusion. So Krishna makes his advent to give us this lesson. Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. My dear Arjuna, I come when there are discrepancies in the process of religious life. Bhagavad Gita 4.7. And what is real dharma, real religious life? The simple definition of dharma is dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Real religious life is that which is enunciated directly by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam 6.3.19. For instance, what do you mean by civil law? Civil law means the word given by the state. You cannot make civil law at home. That is not possible. Whatever the government gives you, you should act like this. That is law. Similarly, dharma, religious life, means the direction given by God. That is dharma. Simple definition. If you create some dharma, or I create some dharma, or another man creates another dharma, these are not dharma. Therefore, Krishna ends the Bhagavad Gita by saying Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Thus, give up all your concocted ideas about dharma and surrender to me. Bhagavad Gita 18.66. This is dharma, surrender to Krishna. Any other dharma is not dharma. Otherwise, why does Krishna ask Sarva Dharman Parityajya? Give it all up. He has already said, in every age I make my advent to establish the principles of religion. And at last he says that we should give up all the so-called religious principles that we have manufactured. All these man-made principles are not actually religious principles. Real dharma, real religious life means what is given by God, but we have no understanding of what God is and what his word is. That is modern civilization's defect. But the order is there, God is there. It is simply that we won't accept. So where is the possibility of peace? Everything is there, ready-made, but we won't accept. So what is the remedy for our disease? We are searching after peace, but we won't accept the very thing that will actually give us peace. This is our disease. Therefore, this Krishna consciousness movement is trying to awaken the dormant Krishna consciousness in everyone's heart. Do I go on, or should I let someone
You
else
can continue,
continue?
Prabhu, for one page.
Oh, just consider 4 or 5 years ago, these Europeans and Americans had never even heard of Krishna. So how are they now taking Krishna consciousness so seriously? Krishna consciousness is already there in everyone's heart. It simply has to be awakened. And this awakening process is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kapu Naya Shravanadi Sudha Chitte Karaye Udaya. Love for Krishna, devotion for Krishna is within everyone's heart, but we have forgotten. So this Krishna consciousness movement is simply meant for awakening that dormant love, by giving everyone the chance to hear about Krishna. This is the process. For instance, when you are sleeping, I have to call you loudly, Mr. Such and such, get up. You have to tend to this business. No other senses will act when you are sleeping, but the ear will act. Therefore, in this age, when people are so fallen that they will not listen to anything, if we chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, they'll be awakened to Krishna consciousness. This is practical. So if we are actually anxious for peace and tranquility in society, then we must be very serious about understanding Krishna. That is my request. Don't take the Krishna consciousness movement lightly. This movement can solve all the problems of life, all the problems in the world. Social, political, philosophical, religious, economic, everything can be solved by Krishna consciousness. Therefore, we request those who are leaders, like His Excellency, who is present here, to try to understand this Krishna consciousness movement. It is very scientific and authorized. It is not a mental concoction or a sentimental movement. It is a most scientific movement. So we are inviting all leaders from all countries to try to understand. If you're sober, if you're actually reasonable, you'll understand that this Krishna consciousness movement is the most sublime movement for the welfare of the whole human society. Anyone may come. We are prepared to discuss this subject matter. The ultimate goal of human life is to achieve immortality. Jaktva deham punarjanma naiti. This is our mission, but we have forgotten this. We are simply leading the life of cats and dogs without any knowledge that we can achieve that perfection of life where there will be no more birth, no more death. Do I continue or does why do I'm so bad with it? Was it Pranchal Prabhu or who was the
Hare Krishna Mohit Prabhu. Do you want to read?
Mohit? Oh,
We do not even understand that there is the possibility of Amritatvam, immortality, but it is totally possible. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to become an old man. Nobody wants to become diseased. This is our natural inclination. Why? Because originally, in our spiritual form, there is no birth, no death, no old age, no disease. So, after moving through the evolutionary process, up through the aquatics, plants, trees, birds, when at last we come to this human form of body, then we should know what the goal of life is. The goal of life is Amrit Tattvam, to become immortal. Immortal you can become simply by becoming Krishna conscious. Krishna says it. It is a fact. We simply have to understand. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha. VG 4.9. If you try to understand Krishna in truth, then Tyaktva deham punarjanma neti. After giving up this body, you won't have to accept any more material bodies. And as soon as you don't accept any more material bodies, that means you have become immortal. The thing is, by nature we are immortal, and Krishna comes here to teach us this lesson. Mamai vamsha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha manah shastanindriyani prakriti sthani karshyati. You are immortal by nature. As spirit soul, you are part and parcel of me. I am immortal, and so you are also immortal. Unnecessarily, you are trying to be happy in this material world. 15.7. Yeah, already tried to find happiness in sensuous life. Through so many bodies as cats, as dogs, as demigods, as trees, as plants, as insects. So now that you have a human body with its higher intelligence, don't be captivated by sensuous life. Just try to understand Krishna. That is the verdict of the Vedic literatures. Nyayam Deo Deha Vajam Loke Kashtan Kamam Arhate with Bhujam Ye. Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.1. To work very hard like dogs and dogs for sense gratification is not the proper ambition of human life. Human life is meant for a little austerity. Tapo divyam putrako yena satam shuddhyet. We have to purify our existence. That is the mission of human life. Why should we purify our existence? Brahma Shaukyam to Anantam. Because then we will get spiritual realization, the unlimited endless pleasure and happiness. That is real pleasure, real happiness. Ramante yoginonante satyananda chidatmani iti rama padena sho param brahma diyate. The mystics derive unlimited transcendental pleasure from the absolute truth, and therefore the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is also known as Rama, Padma Purana. All the great saintly persons of India have cultivated this spiritual knowledge so nicely and fully. Formerly, people used to go to India to find out about spiritual life. Even Jesus Christ went there, and yet we are not taking advantage of it. It is not that these literatures and directions are meant only for the Indians or for the Hindus or for the Brahmanas too. No, they are meant for everyone because Krishna claims Aham Bija Pradha Pita. I am everyone's father. Therefore, he is very anxious to make us peaceful and happy. Just as an ordinary father wants to see that his son is very well situated and happy, similarly, Krishna wants to see every one of us well situated and happy. Therefore, he comes sometimes. This is the purpose of Krishna's advent. Thank you very much.
Haribol, thank you very much. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for reading. So now let's go to six Astakam prayers. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamaha davagni nirvapanam Shreyah kairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavadu jivanam Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamritasvadanam Sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Namnam akari pahudani cha sarva shaktis tatrarpitani yamitas maranena kala etarchi tava kripak pakavan mamapi durdaivam itcham mihajani nanuragaha.
तृणादपि सुनिचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिना मानदेन कीर्तनीयः सदा हरिः
न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनीश्वरे भवतात् भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि
Aji nandatanu kinkaram paritamam visame pavam budau kripaya tava pada pankaja stitaduli satrisham vichintaya.
नयनं गलदाश्रुधाराय वदनं गद्गलहृदाय गिरा पुलके निशितमुखुकदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति
युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्रविर्शायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्द विरहेण मे
Ashlishyava pada ratam pinastumam adarshanan marma hatam karotuva yata tatava vidadatu lampato matprananatastu saeva napara.
Haribo, Haribo. Translation. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names, like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sins of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth.
O son of Maharaja, Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, feeling your separation, some considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally.
हरि बोल श्री शिक्षास्तकम की जाय हरि नाम
Jai,
संकीर्तन की जाय पंचतत्व की जाय
Jai,
नित्यानंद प्रभु की
Jai,
जाय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
Jai,
महाप्रभु की जाय जगत गुरु शिला
Jai,
भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी शिला प्रभुपद की जाय हिताय गौर
Jai,
प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल
Hari Bol.